So I think about this class of artificial intelligence of the some days I'm thinking of like what the heck am I gonna do with myself as artificial intelligence becomes more important in our lives as we sort of do things. And it's becoming an increasingly bigger reality, I guess, where I could see artificial intelligence replacing huge parts of my life in various different ways. But then I think about how dumb uh, Google search is, or how pathetic technology from 30 years ago still feels today. That was really quite revolutionary and really quite amazing when it first came out, right? So the advent of the internet, um, especially with search engines, people believed that it would be we wouldn't have to do any searching for information anymore. It'd be at our fingertips. Yes, it's absolutely at our fingertips today. Um, but there are a lot, huge swaths of information that are not on our at our fingertips and are really difficult to actually get to. Even today, even with Google search, even with Chat GPT, all this kind of stuff is really hard to sort of discover certain parts of the world and understand how it actually works. Now it's vastly improved with that, but it's still it's not that good. There's still missing pieces to the puzzle. And I think about these aspects of my life that seemed sort of kind of frightening in terms of what they can do and the potential or opportunities that are available that really are quite shocking, because it's such a dramatic thing. One of them being the advent of social media, that we thought it would sort of increase democracy. Um, it's actually been the opposite, right? Like the definitely it has democratized information provision, but it is vastly divided many parts of the world, right, and made democracy more challenging, right? So I think about all these sort of weird side effects that happen from technologies that are really truly game changing. Um, they're not really obvious up front, and they're not clear up front until you actually start working with it. So I work with Chat GPT and all these kind of tools quite often, and they're still relatively they're still relatively stupid, right, in terms of what they can do, but it's damn good in terms of what they can actually do. And it's not going to take that long to sort of replace some aspects where I'm like, well, this is even better, and this is even better. But there are things that are somewhat perplexing, that are difficult to actually do even for human beings, right? And so even if AI becomes sentient and all that kind of stuff, there'll be lots of things that, in which I have no doubt in my mind, it is going to become vastly more intelligent than human beings in all aspects of the word, in terms of or of the concept of what it can do and sort of do discoveries. But there's going to be lots of things that we can't really put our fingers on in terms of what's going on and how it actually works, right? So it might solve some very huge problems that we have, right? Like global warming, poverty, all those kind of things. It might, but there are aspects of that that are just impossible to sort of put our fingers on, right? And so we often see this with researchers going into the world. They might have a really good understanding of how the world actually works. They go into the world, and then they realize that, oop, the world does not work like that in the way that it was intended. And you can really get this feeling as you interact with this artificial intelligence, right? If you interact with OpenAI, for example, that um, a lot of the information is very superficial in terms of how the understanding actually is. And it's not really deep understanding. There's lots of intangibles that are not being really understood, right? And how it actually happens. I don't claim that we need to understand all these intangibles, but the world is a very complicated place with many moving parts in all aspects of the world. So even if we have quantum computing, unlimited data storage, all this kind of stuff, the fastest AI algorithms available, all of this, the world is still incredibly complicated. And there'll be aspects of it that we just will not be able to puzzle about. We won't be able to sort of crack the code. And it's going to require all resources, whether it being humans, machines, all those kind of things are going to be really important to how we actually make discoveries and sort of think about the world. Now, um, does it displace a lot of human aspects? Yes, absolutely. And it'll make those probably pretty irrelevant. But we know that a lot of things are a lot more complicated than initially appear, right? So, for example, one would think that record players would die out, nobody'd use these things, right? But now they're kind of like an art, right? Like people use record players, LPs, as part of their sort of art in their house, and nostalgia and all those kind of things is actually a really interesting thing. So, there's aspects of not just life, but aspects of the world that um, they're they've got many different outcomes from a single action, and those things are often really just impossible to solve. They're very difficult. They are convoluted. There's not never right answers. There's not really anything that's discrete, and we have to sort of recognize that as the world. So I'm expecting the world to go from the mess that we are today to even messier, and I don't know what that looks like. I can't sort of forecast what that's going to look like, but it's just going to be more messier and fundamentally different than what it is today. It's like thinking of what the world would have been like in 1990, forecasting, social media and all the sort of stuff that goes on in the online world today, and all the antics and weirdness that happens with that. That is pretty difficult to forecast. Maybe some of it was forecastable, but some of it is just really difficult to just to believe it's going to happen. So I kind of think that it's going to be a mixed bag, in terms of our reality now. Artificial intelligence is going to replace a huge portion of what we actually do. Um, but there's many things that it's not going to be useful for that artificial intelligence to be there. And even still, we might make an active choice. Many people might make that active choice. Yes, they can have that artificial intelligence, which is going to be cheaper and all of that kind of stuff. But they can choose to do other things that feel more authentic or feel more real in terms of what they're looking at. So there's still very much a reason why I don't marry some, personality that's online, that sort of seems perfect in all sort of different ways. I like to, I'm married to my wife because she is imperfect, and that's wonderful. That is amazing. That is very human in many different aspects. And yes, we can design AI systems to do that kind of stuff as well. But man, I'm still probably going to choose to prefer to be with my wife rather than being with some AI system. All right, take care. Have a wonderful day.